Can you say that your life perfectly aligns with you? Can you say that your life, your career, your relationship, your diet, your daily habits perfectly fit you? In this video, I want to share how to go about creating a life that deeply aligns with you. Some of the core things to shine your attention towards and actually reflect on and learn, proactively learn, so that you don't make some of these fundamental level errors for the rest of your life. So that the foundation of your life is built upon truth, rather than confusion, lies, self-deception, manipulation. You want the foundation of your life to be built off of what is sincere to you. Truth in all categories of life. So I want to shine the light of awareness to your inner world. This is incredibly important and is something that is not really looked at in mainstream culture and even in a lot of alternative cultures and ideas. It's not very thoroughly looked at. And this is going to be probably the most important thing to thoroughly investigate and to actually allocate time and resources to doing. This means you got to take this seriously, but not too seriously, but seriously enough so that you actually do the thing. So let's talk about your inner world. What am I really pointing to? Your core values. Do you really know what your core values are? Do you know the core things that your mind just simply aligns with? By core values, I don't mean adopting a particular value that you got from here or there, from a parent, a culture, or anything like that. Although there can be a lot of overlap, sure. Right? Something that a culture values might be something that you naturally value. But this requires some emotional labor and genuine digging into your own mind. You don't want to confuse your core values for some kind of dogma that you picked up from some kind of external source. Your core values are things that go hand in hand with your needs, which I'm actually going to discuss later on in this video. A lot of your core values are going to bring you energy and well-being. They're going to be things that you're not really able to sacrifice, because to sacrifice them would mean that you're giving up a part of yourself that you can't really give up and maintain well-being at the same time. Right? So your core values could be something like your intrinsic motivation, right? Your creativity, your sense of purpose in life, the things you find meaning in, so meaning itself. Maybe it's connections and relationships, personal well-being and health, emotional intelligence. It's a lot of the things that bring you the most energy. To engage in these things, there's just an intuitive and instinctual resonance between you and the thing that you're doing, and just a sense of it fitting, which requires experimentation, self-awareness, and an ability to just shine a gentle attention on these things, continuously returning to them over time, allowing your understanding of these things to deepen as you age. Next is mindfulness. Learning to attune to your inner world, to watch your thoughts, to feel feelings. Meditation is a really good way to build this one up. Meditation is literally just observing yourself in the present moment. You're just connecting to being, to existence. Without that, you're going to actually be losing a lot of value in life. Right? It's a need to actually self-transcend. This is an actual need that you have, which I'm going to talk about later on. Like I said, a lot of this stuff all kind of interconnects. Right? But practicing meditation is an incredibly powerful way to intentionally start to cultivate a connection to your inner world and to start to see what's going on there with less and less fog. It's like you're kind of cleaning your perception of life. You're deconstructing the BS that you've been conditioned with over time. And you're replacing a lot of those forms of conditioning with the actual patterns that go well with you. So you're breaking down the things that don't really fit you, and you're essence, your authenticity can actually come through. People are not authentic because they're acting out of conditioning that they've been programmed with, emotional wounds, the pain of unmet needs, etc. And authenticity has a distinct shift to it. Authenticity is quite confusing because to be authentic requires years of inner work, which most people don't want to do that because it requires a lot of emotional labor. There's going to be cognitive dissonance that comes in. You're going to notice all sorts of beliefs you have that don't really work together, that you don't even know if they're true or not. You're going to notice all sorts of emotions that you've been avoiding and all sorts of things that you don't want to see. But as you do this work, as you learn to actually develop some very deep, genuine self-love, this becomes a deep source of fulfillment. Whereas without that, it becomes just a form of escapism, which brings me to my next point is non-avoidance and non-escapism in relation to your inner world. Learning to actually see your inner world and not need to eliminate the feeling of sadness or grief, to not need to eliminate the feeling of anger, to not need to manipulate your inner world, to be able to sit with it and sit with it fully. Learning to accept all that arises. Learning to see it clearly. And funny, as you do this, you actually start to develop a higher state. Because when you're always manipulating and trying to control everything, this actually puts you into a lower state. This is actually not a comfortable way to exist. When you learn how to just watch gently and with care, forgiveness, understanding, just applying attention to yourself. This is actually a very healing thing. So a lot of the old wounds that are controlling you begin to naturally dismantle. You're able to open up more. You can be more vulnerable. You're more attuned to yourself, to others, to life. You're more intuitive, etc. Can't go off about it here. Raising your consciousness as well. Without raising your consciousness, your inner world is going to be underdeveloped. You're not going to actually reach your potential as a human being. This involves the intentional raising of your consciousness. Raising self-connection, right? Again, all this stuff is really going together. So raising self-connection, sensations in the body, emotions, intuition. We walk around very disconnected from ourselves. Are you really in tune with your body? Do you feel yourself being present in your body? Is your body tense? Where do you habitually store tension? Are you present in those areas? No, you're not. Your body's a very wise system, which is wiser than your mind, actually. The second you do enough inquiry into yourself, you actually very directly recognize that to be true. You recognize that the intuitive, the holistic, is far more wise than the rational and the logical. And the body is a perfect way to put you in tune with that sort of right hemisphere. The big picture, wholeness, the intuitive, rather than being stuck in pure logic and reason. There's a good book, The Master and His Emissary. The master being the sort of intuitive and the emissary, the servant, being logic, right? This is kind of how it's supposed to be organized in order to actually function properly. It's not that we throw away logic, but it's that it's got to be in service to something greater than itself, something that sees beyond itself, something that is wiser. Emotional intelligence being another really important one. We live in a very emotionally unintelligent world. And this is something that you have to overcome. You have to build deep emotional intelligence inside of yourself to build genuine clarity, self-awareness, an ability to process emotions, an ability to be present, to have great connections to other people, to build up your intuition, to sense what aligns with you. And next is knowing yourself. So this is all about asking powerful questions, continuous reflection, self-honesty, authentic expression, personality types, and tests. I'm going to speak to self-honesty really quickly. Do you really believe that you're honest with yourself? Do you really believe that you're honest with yourself? Real self-honesty requires a lot of emotional labor to genuinely develop. But this is not an easy thing that just happens. But it's something that occurs through intentional time, energy, resources, attention. It's got to be genuinely cultivated. Why can't you be honest with yourself? Is there something there that's true about yourself that you don't want to see that can cause pain? Next is integration as an overall point. So the first overall point was your inner world and getting clear about that and learning to be in harmony with it. The next overarching point is integration. So inner integration of your inner world. Again, all this stuff is really going to connect. So integrating thoughts, values, sensations, body, intuition, emotion, etc. Allowing all the parts of your own system to work together and to work in harmony amongst each other rather than parts always fighting each other. To integrate head, heart, and gut, for example, rather than being strictly rational, strictly logical to the point where you're disconnected from the body and you're blind to the wisdom of it. Moving on is just integration of external perspectives and creating a non-dogmatic mind. So this involves being open to information and experience and proactively learning, reading, and finding high quality and high consciousness information. The essence is to create a mind that can make a good sense of and navigate reality well. This involves actually learning the world, learn relationships, psychology, learn consciousness work, learn politics, right? Openly, not dogmatically, but openly, genuinely inquiring into various points of view. There's a lot of talk nowadays about socialism. A lot of people who bring up that word don't even know what the fuck it means. Never read one book on it, but they still have so many opinions on it. Kind of interesting. There's a lot of studies. Those with the strongest opinions are often the least informed. And a lot of people who are very politically sophisticated thinkers, who are very good at debating and all this kind of stuff, are often the best at rationalizing their own beliefs. Just to throw that in there. So in essence, you want your mind to be able to view every ideology, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, capitalism, whatever, X, Y, and Z, every ideology as just a reality bubble that it can enter and then jump out of, and enter a new one and jump out of. And then you learn to integrate all the bits of truth in these perspectives, and you realize that some perspectives hold more accuracy than others. Some are more useful than others. Some are healthier than others. So you create this non-dogmatic mind that's capable of juggling all these perspectives rather than just being a dogmatic ideologue, which isn't very healthy for your mind and is going to really throw you off in life. Especially nowadays, there's all sorts of crap on the internet that's just kind of made to radicalize you. Kind of just want to avoid that kind of stuff. Next is taking intrinsic motivation seriously. This is the next overarching point. So acting from your natural guidance system and natural motivation, and letting go of actively and kind of strictly doing things only for approval, for money, for praise, for validation, for gifts, rewards, status, recognition, and anything external. This doesn't mean that stuff is bad, right? That stuff is totally fine, but you're letting your intrinsic motivation lead you to getting your needs met. You're trusting that inner guidance system so that your life is built off of what aligns with you. As the title says, you want to create a life that aligns with you, and that you're not building things just off of money, status, etc. You're acting in a way so that your inner guidance system has a very strong say in the matter, rather than kind of keeping that kind of hidden and then just doing something for money, status, reward, recognition, fame, gifts, etc. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff, and develop a great relationship with all that stuff integrated in a healthy way. But when your intrinsic motivation is thrown out the window in favor for that stuff, you've sold your soul to the devil, essentially. Next is getting very clear about your needs, the next overarching point, your needs for connections, relationships, friendships, community. Seek to genuinely learn all this stuff. Read books on all this stuff. Get very familiar with this stuff. You're going to need this stuff. These are your needs. Again, get very educated on this stuff. Reflect on this stuff a lot too. High quality food that nourishes you. Right? Movement, flexibility, exercise, self-esteem, building skills, productivity, healthy motivation, healthy goal setting, self-actualization, healing, authenticity, healthy information, creating structures that allow you to actualize your potential, proactively learning, and experience greater integration and wholeness. Right? That's all self-actualization. Right? From self-actualization, when I said that till now, that's all under the category of self-actualization. Self-transcendence is another need. Right? So what even is that? Even greater healing. Self-inquiry, meditation retreats, yoga, direct contact with the nature of reality, deep connection to being or existence, peak and mystical experience, moments of awe, non-duality, even greater integration and wholeness. So essentially, connections, relationships, high-quality food, movement, exercise, self-esteem, self-actualization, self-transcendence. This is a good place to start. Your need for play. Right? That's kind of self-actualization, self-transcendence. The need to go on an adventure, to see new things, to experience something new. People have all sorts of needs that just go totally unfulfilled in modern culture. And then when you don't get your needs met, you get sick. You're not well. You're not as healthy as you can be. In some cases, you just get blatantly sick. Moving on, as another overarching point, learning to love the truth. And really this point is truth and love. Learning to open your heart to more and more of existence. Learning to allow life to break your heart open. A lot of ups and downs in life. Use the downs to break your heart open rather than closing yourself even further. So what does this point really mean? Fall in love with truth. Fall in love with discovering what is true and transforming yourself into a vehicle, a vessel for truth. What do you think a sage is? What do you think Buddha was? What do you think Jesus was? What do you think a mystic is? These are people who have transformed themselves, they've purified themselves so that they are a vehicle for existential truth, for what the nature of reality really is. Desire truth, desire to know what is true, to really grasp it for yourself. Fall in love with truth in all categories of your life. Fall in love with nuance. Fall in love with building a high-quality mind that's capable of seeing multiple perspectives, integrating them, and seeing all the nuances. And trust that just doing that is going to provide a lot of value to your life. Fall in love with the nature of reality. Fall in love with actual existence itself. Fall in love with your direct experience of life. Can you fall in love with this experience right now? If you can't, can you see how that might be a problem? If you can't fall in love with what you presently experience, when are you going to love life if you're not loving it and capable of loving it in the present? Are you going to let life pass you by? Or are you going to learn to open to it? Moving on is activate, connect to, and live in alignment with your natural wisdom. This is under the point of truth and love. Learn to connect to your natural wisdom. Activate it. Get clear about it. Learn to attune to the voice of your soul, your core essence. There's something there to tune into. This isn't new age hippy-dippy nonsense. This isn't religious superstition. There's something genuinely there for you to grasp that you cannot grasp if you're always overstimulated on your phone watching porn, stuck purely in logic. There's something actually there to tune into that is guiding you. That is it for this video. If you're interested in working one-to-one with me, you can apply to do so. Link is in the pinned comment. Take it easy.